Hello, everyone. I'm Dana Perino, along with Tammy Bruce, Marie Harf, Jesse Waters, and Greg Gutfeld. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. The immigration battle front and center as the first wave of the caravan is met with violence in Tijuana, Mexico. Local residents clashing with the migrants and chanting this. And potential 2020 hopeful Kamala Harris facing backlash after this exchange during a confirmation hearing for the nominee to head ICE.
Are you aware of the perception of many about how the power and the discretion at ICE is being used to enforce the laws? And do you see any parallels?
I do not see any parallels between
I'm talking about perception.
Officers and agents.
I'm talking about perception.
I do not see a parallel between what is constitutionally mandated as it relates to enforcing the law.
Are you aware that there's a perception?
I see no.
Are you aware that there's a perception
that puts ICE in the same category as the KKK? Is that what you're asking me?
No, I'm very specific about what I'm asking you. Are you aware that there's a perception that ICE is administering its power in a way that is causing fear and intimidation, particularly among immigrants?
All right, he kept his cool there, Greg.
Yeah, that was a really, I respect her, but I thought that was a very sleazy move. It's a way of asking a question without asking a question. Some would say, Jesse, that you drink heavily. Not me, but some would say. That's what she did. She said there is a perception of, what would you say to the perception? And the thing is, the only reason why the perception would exist is because she is laying the perception out there. You know, some may say that ICE is like the KKK. You are the sum. But you are too cowardly to admit that you are the sum. So I thought that stunk to high heaven. And he answered it correctly.
Again, he's trying to get confirmed to be the head.
By the way, I don't think that you drink heavily.
Yeah, if there's a perception that I drink heavily, I just want to shoot that down.
I just saw you in my eye line.
Very heavily. No, he doesn't.
This show's getting off to a great start.
No, we're all kidding. Happy Friday.
Some would say your hair is beautiful, Jesse.
Some would say it's your turn to talk.
Okay. First of all, Kamala, what she did, I agree. You can't frame the question as guilt by association. I could say there's a perception that Democrats are pro-crime. And there's a perception that the Democrats...
Like you just turned totally different.
And there's a perception that the Democrats are open borders. And that's actually, there's more of a perception than that, than there's a perception that ICE is akin to the KKK. Now, she needs to go, her history books, the KKK terrorized the South for decades and hung innocent African Americans. They were supported by the Democratic Party, okay? She, African American senator, should know that, and that comparison is so outlandish and so disrespectful to the ICE agents that are just doing their job. You know who's really scared of ICE and who should be scared? Human traffickers, drug traffickers, criminal illegals that have skipped bail and are now still in the United States. Those people should fear ICE, and there's a good reason for that.
Marie,
I will say, though, that there is a perception we have seen, not based on what Senator Harris said, but based on real people who have come into contact with ICE, who are either trying to claim asylum, who've had their...
And compare them to the KKK?
I'm not making that comparison, okay. But where she took the question was, are you aware there's a perception that people are scared? When these people have had their children taken from them, some of them don't know where they are, some of the adults have been deported back without their children. I think it's a completely fair question to ask him.
She asked it incorrectly.
Right.
But I think...
She inserted the KKK when she didn't need to do that.
That's fine, and I think she's well aware of the history of the KKK, I should say, Jesse.
She should be more responsible with her analogies.
But let me say, you're focusing on that piece of it. The question that we heard her say when she expanded on it, when she went back and drilled back down, was a completely fair question. There are a lot of people today who are scared of ICE, who are fearful because some of the stories are quite frankly
because she's a lawyer,
and
Tammy.
he should be able to answer that question.
And if she had said that in a court of law, don't you think someone was like, objection?
Well, yes, but
sustained.
And people might have that perception because of her rhetoric.
No,
right?
because of their actions.
But let's,
So they act like the KKK?
Let's remember that on the border, it's not ICE that is separating families. It's the Customs and Border Protection, right? ICE goes after people who are, it goes after MS-13 in the interior of the country, illegal aliens who are engaging in money laundering and drug trafficking. That's interior work. They're in fact saving the immigrant communities from these beasts that target them, like MS-13. So they're the ones who are, helping the average American in general, certainly immigrant Americans. So so she doesn't even really know what ICE is doing. But
she does.
But let's make
confident
it clear, this is posturing for 2020.
Well, I was going to say, she knows exactly what she's doing.
I have a perception she's running for president.
But let me add that this also was it felt like the Kavanaugh hearing. And it's the same attitude, the same insulting approach, the same innuendo. Americans didn't like the Kavanaugh hearing. They're not going to like, if this is what they're going to continue to do for 2 years, it will backfire.
Everything can't be criticize it and then say this is like Kavanaugh. Okay?
But it is.
That's just like Kavanaugh.
There are criticisms of ICE that cross party boundaries. It's okay. He's up for the position. He should get asked tough questions. And ICE doesn't.
Real ones.
ICE is getting unfairly smeared by the media. Come on.
They save people's lives, and they save the lives of immigrants.
They also do some things wrong, and they do these huge roundups of immigrants across the country in the interior.
Criminal immigrants where there are warrants and that
is
they're
not
looking
true.
for
They
them.
have expanded their power beyond what they used to have, and there are whole immigrant. And you know what? If what you're saying, Tammy, is true, if that's true, he could have taken that opportunity to say, I understand there are these false fears out there. Here's why they're not true.
Marie, just like Kavanaugh.
No.
She's comparing it to KKK. He's like, what the hell's going on here?
He could have actually batted down some of these theories if he doesn't think they're true.
I would have
Instead of
flipped
just saying, I don't know what you're talking about. He
did a pretty good job. I would have flipped out, Marie. So would you.
No, he held his composure.
I don't think he did.
Marie, he held his composure like you used to at the podium of the State Department. We're going to switch gears.
Ooh,
Now
nice
to the
transition.
ongoing fight.
A segue.
Thank you very much. People say I'm good at that. All right, there's an ongoing fight, as you know, between the White House, CNN's Jim Acosta, and earlier today, a judge ruled that the Trump administration must reinstate his press pass. Chris Wallace is sitting down with President Trump this weekend for Fox News Sunday. He asked him about these latest developments. Watch this.
What they said, though, is that we have to create rules and regulations for conduct, et cetera, et cetera. We're doing that. We're going to write them up right now. It's not a big deal. And if he misbehaves, we'll throw him out. Or we'll stop the news conference.
What are your rules going to be? What is it that you're saying?
They're doing them now.
This is over the line, and you lose your
they're
president.
doing them now. I mean, we'll have rules of decorum. You can't keep asking questions. We had a lot of reporters in that room, many reporters in that room, and they were unable to ask questions because this guy gets up and starts, doing what he's supposed to be doing for him and for CNN, and just shouting out questions and making statements too. But I will say this: look. Nobody believes in the First Amendment more than I do. And if I think somebody's acting out of sorts, I will leave. I'll say, thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate you coming, and I'll leave.
All right, Greg.
This is so perfect because what this is about is a violation of the Fifth Amendment, which is a right to due process like Kavanaugh. Here's the point. So the media is now up in arms over the violation of due process because a guy lost his hard pass, even though he did a daily pass. But they were seemingly very silent when a guy lost his due process when he was accused of a sexual assault from 35 years ago. By the way, I'm for due process for everything, okay? So I think it's glad that they're finally saying, hey, due process, good thing.
Oh, yes, we love due process. The judge did not rule, Jesse, on the First Amendment issue. It was this Fifth Amendment issue. Sounds to me, though, that the White House is saying, okay, we've made our point, and Acosta is going to be Acosta, but he might not be well thought of by his colleagues.
It's definitely time to move on, considering the judge that made the ruling was a Trump-appointed judge.
Well, he's just ruling on the law.
Exactly, but there's not an argument to saying, oh, this is an Obama-appointed judge. Of course, I think everybody's willing now to take a step back. I'm just glad that Donald Trump is restoring decorum and civility to the White House. It's about time, because the Democrats and the reporters have been really running wild and have been disrespecting the traditions that we so hold dear in this republic. And it's just, I'm glad that this is being restored.
I mean, I don't know why I'm laughing.
What's so funny?
I could not
no,
agree more.
Acosta was not respecting the dignity of the White House.
Is Donald Trump going to have to start respecting the dignity of the White House? Is he going to have to start acting with decorum when he's in the
Is there a
press briefing?
perception that there's not?
Was he not? What was he not doing?
When he cuts people off, when he calls them stupid and rude, is he going to have to start playing by some rules too?
I don't think
About
he's
how he
broken any
treats people?
rules. I think he was fine, and he said if anybody acts up, we're going to boot him.
It was sort of weird, Tammy, to watch. Like,
Thomas
the
Jefferson
heroes
booted a lot
welcome.
of reporters back in the day.
Yep.
Look it up.
Look it
He
up.
said Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah.
Jesse's on a history tear tonight.
Look, this is good.
Jefferson pulled a lot of hard passes.
Here's what we know. Dana, you've mentioned that his colleagues, Acosta's colleagues, don't like what he does, and now they're going to be the ones who are, in a way, going to have to be in charge to get the little child to sit down. Otherwise, the entire thing will end, and I think that's the power of the presidency. It's a perfect way to handle it, and there'll be...
I think they're going to put him in the deep freeze. That's my recommendation.
Yeah,
you ever put anybody in the deep freeze?
We had to pick someone off the plane once.
No, that's not the deep freeze, though.
No.
Oh, who was it?
He pushed them off the plane.
Was it David Gregory?
No.
It was David Gregory, wasn't it?
It was not.
He had some fun pills.
It was not.
No. Okay, Nancy Pelosi's bid to become House Speaker facing some resistance. And now supporters are saying sexism is to blame. The details next.
Over who will be the next House Speaker is heating up. Nancy Pelosi meeting face-to-face this morning with potential rival Marcia Fudge in what Pelosi's team is calling a, quote, candid and respectful conversation. Fudge talking to reporters after the sit-down about whether or not she'll challenge Pelosi.
It's a lot to think about. I mean, it's not a decision you just say, oh, I'm going to wake up today and be the Speaker. That's not how this works. And I'm a very serious person. I'm contemplating it, and I'll decide.
How soon should we expect to hear from you on your decision?
After Thanksgiving.
Well, that could be months after, weeks
No,
after.
it wouldn't be. I mean, literally after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
With opposition mounting, Pelosi's allies are fighting back with new claims of sexism. Democratic Senator Kirsten Gillibrand says it's a factor in the, quote, Never Nancy movement.
There is a lot of sexism in politics, a lot of sexual bias in pretty much every industry that you want to look at. You probably know it in your own industry. And so I'm sure that's a factor, but I think she is qualified and she is extraordinary and she is strong and she will make a very effective speaker.
So, Dana, I've always said that I think some of the criticism of Pelosi has some sexism in it, but I don't think that challenging her for speaker necessarily speaks to that. But I want you to respond to the counter-argument that people are making this week. Chuck Schumer reelected on a voice vote to be head of Democrats in the Senate, even though Democrats lost seats there, didn't pick up seats, whereas Nancy Pelosi helped get 40
but here's the
seats.
thing about Chuck Schumer. So he's only been the minority leader for one Congress, 2 years. Harry Reid before that for a long time, right? So Nancy Pelosi has been in power for a long time. Yeah. And what the people have been calling for is change. They asked for it in 2016. They asked for more of it in 2018. And so I don't think it's so much sexism as it is we are looking for a new generation. We want to see some changes around here. I actually think that Marcia Fudge, very interesting. I don't think she went into the meeting with Nancy Pelosi thinking, maybe I could get something out of this. But if you are a Democrat thinking you want to get something out of this, you need a new bridge in your district, you need something else, you want a committee chairmanship, I'd go in and say to Nancy Pelosi, I'm thinking of challenging you too.
Right. It's not a bad negotiating
It's good horse
strategy.
trading.
So,
brilliant.
Jesse, as of right now, Nancy Pelosi doesn't seem to have the votes. There are a lot of new members who have said they won't support her, but you can't beat something with nothing. And I know you probably want her to be Speaker, right, as a foil.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Well, I don't think the Democrats want to stick their necks out right now because Nancy will just chop it off. But I think someone eventually is going to have to grow up and put their name out there and throw their name in the hat. So what I do think, though, is the Democrats should just focus on substance and qualifications and not throw an ism out there. Every argument they have is sexism, racism, nativism, we're just sick of it. We'd rather just talk about the facts. And what this does, I think, is foreshadows what you're going to see in the Democratic primary when people run for president. You're going to have a woman who thought she was a Native American running against another black woman, running against a straight white male. Maybe there's a gay Democrat in there. There's going to be so much, as Greg likes to say, identity politics on that stage. It's going to be interesting to see if Democrats really go after each other on those issues, or they're able to pull back and really debate on substance. I don't think they're going to be able to. It's too tempting for Democrats to throw these ism cards down because that's all they know.
A good thing to come up with, like for a Christmas gift, ism cards.
Ism cards.
Ism cards, yeah.
Now Greg is going to
bingo, ism cards.
So, Greg, Nancy Pelosi has her flaws, certainly, and I do think a lot of Republicans, has high negative marks by a lot of Republicans.
I deeply respect her.
She also helped win almost 40 seats back. So I was skeptical of her, and I still am, but do you see someone else in the Democratic Party who could lead as effectively as she does right now?
I don't know, because I don't pay attention that much to the Democratic Party. I'll be honest with you. I don't know many of them. This is the culmination of identity politics. You just start devouring your own.
Right.
Sooner or later, there's nobody left but the person in your room, and then you start pointing fingers at them. You know, it's cannibals eat their own family, ultimately. Yep. But I pose this question.
Okay.
Who says women can't be sexist against women? Right? Because they are going to replace...
But they are saying that. They're saying that.
They're saying that.
Right.
If you believe men can be sexist, but women can't be sexist, then you're saying women can't do the same things as men, which means you are sexist, just like Kavanaugh. So if you deny a woman's ability to be sexist to another woman, then you, in effect, are being sexist. Women can, and by the way,
you lost me, Greg.
No, Jesse, it's true. Women can be every bit as sexist to women. It's unbelievable.
If you're a woman...
Libs versus conservatives.
But they're saying if you're a woman that did not support Hillary Clinton, did not vote for her, and you're a woman that doesn't support Pelosi, in which there could be several Democrats that are both, that they, as women, are being sexist towards
Which
Pelosi.
is why Marcia Fudge is an interesting possible candidate. Tammy, what do you think?
Well, look, I think that the left has always been looking at everybody who's their opposition as the other. So it's not just that you're a sexist, it's that you're not really a woman if you're not really towing the line. Right? So that becomes the problem. You're actually dismissed as a human being. I think Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez should be the new speaker.
I agree.
Because look, but see, this is the problem. They want something new. The new crowd really doesn't know much. They're completely immersed in the issues. But Nancy Pelosi is the only one who raises money. She's the only one who knows what the background is.
Not anymore.
Well,
not anymore.
And I think, Alexandria, basically, those progressives are making the centrists of the Democratic Party stronger.
Look like adults.
I totally agree. Also, House Speaker doesn't have to be a member of the House.
That's why Greg's running.
Yes, and I'm looking for a strong write-in vote.
Whoever is the responsible for the wins, we're always told it's Donald Trump. Maybe Donald Trump should be Speaker of the House.
My money's on Beto. I'm going with Beto.
Beto?
He is a master.
Joy Behar, changing tunes here, trashing the Country Music Awards. See why next when the 5 returns.
Joy Behar melting down over the Country Music Awards. She took issue with the fact that they avoided politics, darn it, and did not trash President Trump.
I'm overreacting to this, but I believe that everybody should be involved in politics right now. I really do. I don't believe that you get a pass just because you're a performer.
Yeah, but not everybody wants to watch it on television.
I get that, but
okay, that's what she's talking about.
My personal belief is that we are in an emergency. The democracy is at risk.
I do think that sometimes, it's like when I do my shows, I don't want to talk about politics.
Fine.
I want to talk about me.
Well, you talk.
All righty. Well, this
is a great song by Toby Keith called "I Want to Talk About Me."
Yeah. Look,
there
is a lot to discuss here, but one thing we know, she even admits that maybe she's overreacting. Greg, would you agree with that?
She's the only person on this earth who wants more politics in everyday life. Wherever politics is injected, whether it's sports, movies, or music, it introduces friction and anger. It makes everything worse. But she isn't saying she wants more politics in life. She wants her politics. Her politics. If the country music singers came out against something that she was for, she wouldn't be saying this.
Right.
But the scary thing about this is, it's shifting from, it used to be if the left disagreed with you, they thought you were evil. Remember, we think they're wrong, they think you're evil. Now, non-participation is evil.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if you don't speak up and participate, you are a collaborator.
And in the
you
right
are
way.
just like a Nazi.
In her way, that if you don't speak up, like maybe they would speak up, but pro-Trump, I mean, God forbid, right? Then she'd be complaining. At the same time, we know that when things have gotten political, like when the Obamas or Michelle Obama would appear on the Oscars and all of that going on with that, the ratings go down. Americans overall reject it because we want an escape, right? We do want a break, and that's the job of performers, is to give us something to entertain ourselves, not to give us some angst. Or, of course, there's a responsibility because they do influence culture. Do you think that there should be a balance?
I think that the country music as an industry knows its audience. Right? For example, why do I play country music on the 5, Greg?
Why do you?
Because I know my audience. Also, Joy says that democracy is at risk. The Democrats just picked up almost 40 seats in the House. They did very well in the upper Midwest. They took governorships that we didn't expect. There's one Republican left in New England. So
Literally,
the democracy is
Orange
not
County.
at risk. Democracy is actually working. I didn't get to watch the CMAs. I usually watch every year. I was on a flight. I do know one thing, that Dierks Bentley got robbed.
Ooh.
You know, and while they know their audience, they still didn't want to make it political. And while there was no blue wave, they did well. It was a very good example of a cross-section. Tell that to the Senate and tell that to Georgia and Florida. But so, Jesse...
40 seats is pretty good.
Yeah, 40 seats is a blue wave, but go on.
You know what? It was
the
a blue
margin
wave
is
in the
really
sense
small.
that Pelosi can wave the majority goodbye in 2 years when she overreaches.
Is that the first time you've used that?
Nice.
You like it?
That was good. If you were wearing a blue shirt, it would have been awesome.
Jesse, are we going to be able to avoid? Are we going to be able to avoid the demand that everybody in entertainment get political? We got 2 more years coming up to 2020. Do you think we're going to be able to avoid it? Because you know they went after Trump a little bit, if I recall, last year, at the CMAs. I remember some did. And they also went after the Clintons at one point. So
Right,
there
it was
have
equal
been some
opportunity
political
though,
stuff.
because it was they went after everyone, which was the point. It was an equal opportunity thing, and and they said it in a joking way. It was in the song.
No.
I watched.
It is politics. Even there, is this something that's going to be a problem, or is this going to be the new standard for what we experience?
I think year 3 in the first term of a presidency is when people just try to cool off. Because the first 2 years is chaotic and everyone's always ramped up, and then usually there's a situation in the midterms where one party does better, and then year 4 is all presidential race. So I think year 3 everybody just needs to relax, calm down, take a breath. We've gone at such a frenetic pace for these first 2 years. No one wants to see any music shows where people are talking about Trump, even though country music's pretty MAGA. No one wants to see it. I agree with Greg, and I agree with Dana. Democracy's working. People are fine. Joy is the only one that's lighting her hair on fire, and she's just doing that for attention. When she brought the subject up, she said, I may be crazy here, but... I mean,
she's overreacting.
She's overreacting.
So do you agree? Do you think that we're going to be settling in here, or do you think you agree with Joy that there needs to be more complaints?
Well, I think people should feel free to speak up. And actually, country music artists have spoken up politically. It wasn't about Trump.
That's the only one.
No, that's not, Greg. After the shooting in Las Vegas, many of them, especially the ones who were performing, came out and tried to have a serious conversation about guns, even though that's not popular with a lot of their audience.
There were a lot of opinions about guns.
There were a lot. No, that's what I'm saying. But they felt like that was an area and a time when they could have a discussion about policy. And I actually really appreciated the fact that country musicians, many of whom, that's what I listen to, that's my jam.
But that policy is different than good. She wants them to go after Trump. That's her fixation.
I'm not talking about Joy right now. I'm talking about the fact that country music at times actually does wade into politics or policy. And you know, I think that if entertainers want to speak up like Kanye or like Taylor Swift have about politics, that is their right to do so.
Kanye's not really an entertainer. He's more of a creative genius. It's just more than that.
Just like Kavanaugh.
Oh, my God, guys. All right, we got to move on. The Fastest 7 is up next.
Time for the Fastest 7. All right, first up, take a look at these pictures. You'd expect this might happen in Houston or Miami, but not New York City, where we get snow all the time. 6 inches nearly shut this place down. Chaos everywhere. Police were actually turning people away from major bus terminals because it was too crowded. And it took up some travelers up to 6 hours just to get home. Traffic totally stopped on the George Washington Bridge after a multi-car accident.
Jeez.
And some students in New Jersey were forced to spend the night at their school. This was probably 6 inches. Didn't even seem like 6 inches.
Well, my helicopter, I ended up staying down at Chelsea Piers.
You're one of those Amazon executives.
Exactly. No. This is the most heavily taxed place on earth, and the city cannot take care of the homeless. They can't take care of the streets that the homeless choose to sleep on. Meanwhile, de Blasio still makes it to the gym in Brooklyn. I'm sure he didn't have any delays. I took the subway home, and it missed my stop, and I ended up being lost for 20 minutes in Chinatown because I couldn't see the street signs. And I've lived here for 2 decades.
And he had a big Fox News umbrella.
I had a big Fox News umbrella, and everybody left me alone.
So JoJo and Hair and Makeup said she took her car down to Brooklyn after the show. It took her 3 hours to get to Brooklyn.
3 hours and 45 minutes.
Jeez.
It was a lot. No, it was terrible. And I know, actually, Tom Shalhoub's producer,
yeah,
his wife, it took her 8 hours to get home from the city. And they have a young baby.
Ohio.
I mean, this is serious stuff. This is pathetic. Obviously, look, we get it, America. New York is pathetic. Pathetic.
Well, Lamarca, one of my producers, said that it took him 6 hours, and he just had to go a couple miles upstate.
It's really crazy. My producer ended up staying in the city last night because she didn't think she could
but she
get
got to go
home.
shopping at the Gap, though.
She did.
I talked to her.
What, they don't have Gaps in D.C.?
I talked to her.
She knew she works here. She lives in New York. She did buy pajama pants at the Gap. You're right, but it was crazy.
Wait. She lives in New York, and they put her up in a hotel?
She lives in New Jersey. No. She lives
Sounds like a scam.
No. She lives in New Jersey, and she had to be back in early this morning. Didn't get done until after our show last night.
The early morning shift. Got it.
But the people that use the Port Authority, that bus terminal, the police locked the doors and would not let people in because it was too crowded.
Yeah.
It really...
It's nuts.
It was only 6 inches.
Look, I'm a new New Yorker, 4 years, right? I've been very impressed. From Los Angeles, you don't have this kind of infrastructure for traveling. I took the subway, didn't get in a car to come here to the studio yesterday, took the subway home.
Way to save the company money, Tammy.
One block away from my apartment, was able to avoid all of the snow and everything, and I was impressed. However, it was the first time that things, for me, with the fourth winter, that things did seem strangely inept, that nobody was doing anything, and I was thinking, the city, I knew it was coming, I wore the right boots, I was ready, and I'm a Los Angelino. So I was just thinking, how was this deliberate? How is it that they didn't know that this was happening?
Well, speaking of deliberate, Chris Christie tweeted, it took me 5 hours and 40 minutes to travel from Piscataway to Mendham.
He was walking.
Not really the best person to complain about. Okay, up next.
Yeah, good point.
About Maroon 5 performing during the halftime of the Super Bowl. Apparently thousands now signing a petition calling on the band to drop out of the game. It's not because they think Maroon 5 stinks, but as a sign of support for Colin Kaepernick's national anthem protest. I didn't see that coming. I thought it was about the music.
This band gives the number 5 a bad name. But this is actually just a lot like what we talked about with Joy Behar. There are people demanding this band, and I can't stand the music, but they're demanding this band take a stance when they really would rather not take any stance.
It's your non-participation.
They are now collaborating with racists by appearing on the Super Bowl.
What do you think they'll do?
I think that they're going to break up because they realize their music is so bad and it's destroying the eardrums of the youth.
Well, you were kind of sighing and in a very excited way when you saw Maroon 5 performing. I heard that.
I hate Maroon 5. I think they're a terrible choice because I really don't like their music. But this is also because, remember, Rihanna came out a few weeks ago and said she wouldn't have performed at the Super Bowl because of Colin Kaepernick. And look, these people are free to sign a petition.
They asked me to perform, and I said no in solidarity. I get it. People are going to take a stand.
These people are allowed to sign a petition, and Maroon 5 is allowed to keep playing their terrible music.
Tammy,
you know, it's also like whether or not you go to the White House if you've won a game or, you know, a big championship. There is this demonstration that you have to make or kind of this positioning you have to take. And we've got to put a stamp on this and just have it end and just encourage them to perform because it's going to, you know, we've got to be able to participate.
And they can make a decision.
Or not, just based on normal life instead of all this pressure and all this bullying.
That's right. All right. So finally, social media going straight to your head. A new study links excessive selfie posting to an increase in narcissism, with heavy social media users experience a 25% increase in self-absorbed behavior. Greg,
why me?
Narcissism,
It's all about
selfies.
We suffer from a glut of images. You know, when your grandmother passed away, there was only one black and white photo in the newspaper, and it was really grainy. She was mysterious little old lady. Now, when Granny dies, there's going to be 5,000 Instagram poses of her showing every tattoo, every belly ring, every party shot she does. It's going to be visually, everybody's going to be in great
You mean
detail.
Republicans push Granny over the cliff?
Yes.
Do you have a Greg selfie? Is there a
Yes,
Greg
I think I
selfie
do.
up there somewhere?
Yeah.
Let's see if we have a Greg selfie. You must have sent something in there.
Oh, yeah. That's,
Oh!
that's what I see when I look in the mirror.
Wow,
I see
you
Bill
got
Hemmer.
much better looking, Greg. Dana?
Well, I didn't know that you could even see how many selfies you have on your phone, but if someone sends you a selfie of themselves and you save that, then that also counts.
Oh,
I
look at
have
that
a few.
selfie.
That's a good one. That's one.
That was State of the
That's one
Union,
Greg.
right? Oh, wow. It looks like Rachel
That
Maddow
was on
back
a
there.
train. There's Peter and Jasper.
Yeah, it also counts
Very
selfies
nice.
if you just turn the phone around and take it with another person. So, like, if we took a photo
that's what
right
a
now,
selfie's called.
But a selfie, people
It's
think
like
of as just being
of
you,
yourself.
right?
Yeah.
Of just being
Oh,
you.
there
Like
we go.
that
Oh, look at that
one.
selfie.
Right there. That was a selfie.
You are very selfie involved.
But see, that counts as a selfie, even though someone else, my husband, is in it. Which I don't think
That's
should count
true.
as a selfie on the iPhone. I think it's a technical glitch.
Tammy, do you have selfies?
I have 2 on my phone.
That's
and
it?
It makes me nervous. I joined Instagram, but it makes me nervous to put even personal things on there. I want to keep it non-political.
We're very hip, Tammy.
But yeah, it's all the technology makes
Are you
me
on
a little
Snapchat
nervous.
too?
No.
Jesse?
No,
Do
I'm
we have
not.
any
Jesse, you skipped yours.
Do I have a
My
selfie?
favorite is with Grumpy Cat.
Do I
My
have a
favorite selfie is with Grumpy Cat. Look at you, there you are.
That was in the morning.
God.
Okay.
You gave that to them?
I didn't have a lot of selfies. Dana, it will surprise you, I'm not very narcissistic.
You looked like the Post-it guy from Sex and the City.
I thought I looked like the
that
lead
wouldn't
singer of
bring it
Maroon 5. Don't go anywhere. Fan Mail Friday up next.
This is a great question, actually, because we travel a bit. What is the first thing you check while booking a hotel room online, Dana?
Peter does all that for us, so I just make sure he did it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's really a lousy answer. Jesse?
You go price and location and then reviews and then stars. How many stars? I'm a star guy.
You are a star
I'm
guy?
a star guy. I want to see 5 stars.
Marie?
I'm a points person, so I'm very loyal to brands. So Intercontinental Hotels, IHG, and then and Kimpton, and then right below that is Marriott.
I do enjoy the Kimpton.
Yeah, shout out to Marriott. Shout out to Four Seasons.
Stop it!
Hilton, I love you.
You know what's great about the
I'm
Kimptons?
very into points.
Dogs.
No,
I love
the
Kimptons.
zebra-printed bathrobes.
Yes.
Those are very cool.
Zebra-printed bathrobes,
that's what
Tammy.
I said.
Stars, right?
You
How they're
animal
rated, but then
Gutfeld.
also a review of the rooms to see if they've got bathtubs and if you can actually request that, make sure you get that kind of room.
I just look distance to airport. That's all I can. And if it's in the airport, I'm in. That's why I love Dallas. I love the Hilton at
airport?
Dallas.
Oh.
I would live at
Room
the Hilton.
service, yeah.
Oh, fantastic. TC Ledbetter asks, ooh, God, this is a hard one. What is your most irrational fear, Jesse? Irrational.
Having no friends.
That is totally
Terrifies me. That's so funny.
That is so irrational, because that would
opened
never
up.
happen. Because that's the whole point. It's irrational.
And rats.
That's not irrational.
Yeah.
That's very real.
Irrational.
I don't want to say any of them because then I feel like I'll be jinxed. I'm very superstitious.
Oh, really?
Wow.
I'm very
That's irrational. That is the most irrational thing
Walked
ever.
right into it.
fear of
I actually didn't.
Fear of jinxing.
I actually wasn't trying to do that. I was just trying to
There
say
you
I
go.
didn't want to say
Sometimes
what
you
was
the
win.
reveal.
Tammy?
Spiders.
That's not irrational. They can be poisoned.
No, but they're beautiful creatures too. If like you, and I look at like the National Geographic stuff because then I get a little bit obsessed. And I helped a tarantula once across a road when I was.
Why?
It's just a little hairy man.
Why would you do that?
I was hiking on a trail, and because they're very slow and they're blind, and
What?
I scooted them across the
No,
road.
you
He was-
And then he ended up
Sticks.
fighting a child and killing
That's
everybody in the village. Dana.
Stink bugs.
Oh,
I will scream.
But that, I mean,
Really?
that's
Yeah, they used to have like every once, you know, when it's winter and then it gets warm out, and in the White House, they would all of a sudden be like on your phone or on your keyboard.
Oh,
It's terrible.
see, yeah, you've had that
my
experience.
irrational fear, losing my looks.
It's going to be tough for you. It's
Yeah,
going to be tough.
it is. Well, it's irrational. That's the point.
You look
It's
like Hammer. I mean.
What am I? Yeah. I mean, all right. This is from Ed Henry. Tweet from Twitter.
Is this the real Ed Henry? Is he
famous Ed
verified?
Henry?
How many Ed Henrys are they? 2 first names.
There's
It's
no
got to be
blue
him.
check there.
Is Greg as ornery IRL? What does that stand for?
In real life.
In real life.
It's definitely Ed Henry.
As he is on the Twitters asking for a friend, and then he signed it Ed in DC.
You're really making this about yourself, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I ask everybody questions. He just put, they give me this question.
I never get questions about myself.
Yes, you do.
You
All right.
monopolized the segment.
Did I?
The narcissist.
All right. This is even better.
No,
Let's
I'll
skip
answer
that.
the question.
No, skip
He
that
is.
question.
He's very ornery on and off camera.
No, you know what I would say to this is that I am falling back into the bad habits of going on Twitter after drinking. Remember I swore I wasn't going to do that?
That is a mistake.
Is that
You
why you
cannot
were
drink
getting a
and
beef
tweet.
with John Kerry?
I think so, but I still won.
No.
Me drunk still beats him sober.
Can I announce
I'm
to
gonna
everyone
defend
watching?
John Kerry.
What?
Let me announce to everyone watching the show, as somebody who visits here on occasion, and I'm honored to do so. Everybody is as you would expect them to be. Your imagining of
Except for
everyone.
Dana. Dana's just awful.
But they are really like this and lovely, wonderful people. Maybe except for Greg sometimes.
Thank you.
But yes, so they are what you expect them to be.
Here's an interesting question. What kind of sickness have you lied about so you didn't have to go to work?
Migraine.
Ooh, migraine.
Yeah,
Because I get them,
And
so it's not a total lie.
How long does your migraine last?
Like,
25 minutes, and then it's gone.
oh yeah, then I'm not. No,
Yeah.
like a day. They last.
Oh,
24
mine lasts
hours.
about 30
They last a long
Wow.
time.
Jesse,
They're really bad.
I don't get sick. I don't miss a lot of work. My attendance record here is really good. That's true.
No,
I
you
don't
were sick
get
just a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Didn't you have strep?
No, I just had a... Yeah.
It was a hangover. I had
No,
the
it
reaction.
wasn't. There's not a perception that I have a drinking problem.
Yeah, you blew it.
I thought you had.
All right.
It wasn't really
Thanks,
the flu.
Dan.
I haven't. I don't know. It's been. I don't know.
Okay, well, they want us to tease, so.
Okay, tease.
Who calls in sick anymore?
Look, I never went to school. I hated school. I
Wow.
was teased, and so it was always. I have a tummy.
This is a great question, actually, because we travel a bit. What is the first thing you check while booking a hotel room online, Dana?
Peter does all that for us, so I just make sure he did it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's really a lousy answer. Jesse?
You go price and location and then reviews and then stars. How many stars? I'm a star guy.
You are a star guy?
I'm a star guy. I want to see 5 stars.
Marie?
I'm a points person, so I'm very loyal to brands. So Intercontinental Hotels, IHG, and then and Kimpton, and then right below that is Marriott.
I do enjoy the Kimpton.
Yeah, shout out to Marriott. Shout out to Four Seasons.
Stop it!
Hilton, I love you.
You know what's great about the
I'm
Kimptons?
very into points.
Dogs.
No, the
I love Kimptons.
zebra-printed bathrobes.
Yes.
Those are very cool.
Zebra-printed bathrobes,
That's
Tammy.
what I check.
Stars, right?
You
How they're
animal
rated, but then
Gutfeld.
also a review of the rooms to see if they've got bathtubs and if you can actually request that. Make sure you get that kind of room.
I just look
I agree
distance to airport. That's all I can. And if it's in the airport, I'm in. That's why I love Dallas.
In
I love the
the
Hilton
airport?
at Dallas.
Oh,
I would live
room
at the Hilton.
service,
Miami has
yeah.
Oh, fantastic. TC Ledbetter asks, ooh, God, this is a hard one. What is your most irrational fear, Jesse? Irrational.
Having no friends.
That is totally
Terrifies me. That's so funny.
That is so irrational,
I just
because that would
opened
never
up.
happen. Because that's the whole point. It's irrational.
And rats.
That's not irrational.
Yeah.
That's very real.
Irrational.
I don't want to say any of them because then I feel like I'll be jinxed. I'm very superstitious.
Oh, really?
Wow.
I'm very
That's irrational. That is the most irrational thing
Jumped
ever.
right into it.
fear of jinxing.
I actually didn't.
Fear of jinxing.
I actually wasn't
jinxing.
trying to do that. I was just trying to
There
say
you
I
go.
didn't
Well,
want to say
sometimes
it.
you
with the
win.
reveal.
Tammy?
Spiders.
That's not irrational. They can be poisoned.
No, but they're beautiful creatures too. If like you, and I look at like the National Geographic stuff because then I get a little bit obsessed. And I helped a tarantula once across a road when I was.
Why? It's just a little hairy man.
Why would you do that?
I was hiking on a trail, and because they're very slow and they're blind, and I scooted him across the road.
And then he ended up biting a child and killing everybody in the village. Dana.
Stink bugs.
Oh,
I will scream.
But that, I mean, that's
yeah. They used to have like every once, you know, when it's winter and then it gets warm out, and in the White House, they would all of a sudden be like on your phone or on your keyboard. It's terrible.
Yeah, you've had that experience.
Irrational fear, losing my looks.
It's going to be tough for you. It's going to be tough.
Well, it's irrational. That's the point.
You look like Hammer.
I mean, all right. This is from Ed Henry. Tweet from Twitter.
Is this the real Ed Henry? Is he verified?
How many Ed Henrys are they? 2 first names.
There's
It's
no
gotta be
blue
him.
check there.
Is Greg as ornery IRL? What does that stand for?
In real
life.
It's definitely Ed Henry.
As he is on the Twitters, asking for a friend, and then he signed it Ed in DC.
You're really making this about yourself, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I ask everybody questions. He just they give me this question.
I never get questions about myself.
Yes, you do.
You
all right.
monopolized the segment.
Did I?
The narcissist.
All right. This is even better.
No,
Let's
I'll
skip
answer the question.
No, skip that question.
He's very ornery on and off camera.
No, you know what I would say to this is that I am falling back into the bad habits of going on Twitter after drinking. Remember I swore I wasn't going to do that?
That is a mistake.
Is that why you were getting a beef with John Kerry?
I think so, but I still won.
No.
Me drunk still beats him sober.
Can I announce to everyone watching?
John Kerry.
Let
me announce to everyone watching this show, as somebody who visits here on occasion, and I'm honored to do so. Everybody is as you would expect them to be. Your imagining of everyone.
Dana. Dana's just awful.
But they are really like this and lovely, wonderful people. Maybe except for Greg sometimes.
Thank you.
But yes, so they are what you expect them to be.
Here's an interesting question. What kind of sickness have you lied about so you didn't have to go to work?
Migraine.
Ooh, migraine.
Because I get them,
and
so it's not a total lie.
How long does your migraine last?
Like
25 minutes, and then it's gone.
Oh yeah, then I'm not. No, like a day. They last.
Oh, mine lasts about.
They last a long time.
Jesse,
they're really bad.
I don't get sick. I don't miss a lot of work. My attendance record here is really good. That's true.
No, you were sick just a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Didn't you have strep?
No, I just had yeah.
It was a hangover.
There's not a perception that I have a drinking problem.
Yeah, you blew it.
I thought you had.
All right.
It wasn't really the flu.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, well, they want us to tease, so.
Okay,
who calls in sick anymore?
Look, I never went to school. I hated school. I was teased, and so it was always, I have a tummy